Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of NFI Hammer. In this episode I will be trying transfers for the first time. So I've only started this hobby a few months ago, and before then I literally had no idea that transfers were a thing when it came to miniature painting. Every time I saw a miniature I just assumed that somebody had actually painted on all of those designs and images, and when I got the Recruit edition I noticed that it came with a transfer sheet and I had no idea what that was, and I ended up selling some of the models on eBay, and then I kept the transfer sheet to just play around with. And when I had the model of the month being this Assault Intercessor, I decided to give them a go. So from my understanding they're kind of like, you know, those temporary tattoos that you used to get as a kid with skull and crossbones and that sort of stuff. So I've been using this model here, you can see on the left, as my playing around model, and I've been practicing my highlighting, my edge highlighting that you can check out in my previous video. So I thought to complete the model I'll try out transfers. So I'm just cutting out the ones that I want to use. So I wasn't quite sure what each of the markings meant, but I have been, reading some Warhammer podcasts and listening to some Warhammer audiobooks. And so I do understand a little bit of the lore, and it's kind of what got me interested, one of the reasons anyway to getting into this hobby. So with some Googling, I found out that the left shoulder plate of a Space Marine should always show the chapter badge, whereas the right shoulder plate usually shows the squad badge, which is kind of like the speciality of the squad. So for example, the Maltese cross is for veteran squads, and battle line squads use an arrow, close support squads use perpendicular arrows pointing outwards, and the fire support squads use an inverted V. So here I've gone for the 4 perpendicular arrows pointing outwards, which is the close support squad thing, and I've just kind of let it soak. This is just some paper napkins that I've soaked and put on top of the lid of my wet palette, and I'm just using a ear cleaner, pipe cleaner thing to try and just position it where I want it to go, and I'm just dousing some additional water on it. To me this was kind of the hardest part, which is just kind of positioning where I wanted it to go. I tried to use tweezers and it just didn't really have any effect for me. I just kind of had to kind of just bash it into place with this ear cleaner. And yeah, eventually it kind of sat, and so that ard coat that I put on first just kind of helps get that surface really shiny and adhesive for the transfers. And eventually I, after great effort, I finally got it in a position that I was kind of happy with. But overall, it was not too hard in the end. And so now I'm putting on the chapter badge. The difficulty thing to me is that the curvature of this, the shoulder pad is quite severe. It's not like a flat surface like a wall or a side of a tank. So it's very difficult to try and get it exactly where you want it. If anyone has any tips or tricks, let me know. And yeah, apologies for the camera being blurry. I had to keep trying to get it close to my eyes to see what I was doing. So yeah, what I did is I just pulled the sheet away and put a little bit of pressure on the transfer to help it stay where I wanted it. You might not notice, but in the back there, my finger was resting on the other shoulder pad on the other side, and it ended up the transfer just sticking to my finger. So after all that effort of getting it exactly where I wanted it, I completely messed it up. So there's probably a lesson in there to like wait until it dries before trying to do the other side, or at least just be more mindful than I was anyway, to not touch it. So here, yeah, just touching the model by the rim rather than holding it on the side. So yeah, finally after, this is sped up, but finally after some effort I've got them where I wanted. And then this is kind of like the squad number that you can place inside the squad badge, just to give it a bit of uniqueness. I'm not sure which way, because there's guns pointing outwards, if that one is actually the wrong way around. Like, is it meant to be when he's pointing down? But I thought from a readability thing, it's definitely easier having it upright like this. So once it's dried, I just put another coat of Ard Coat over the top, just to help really seal in the transfer. However, it did kind of leave this really shiny effect that I wasn't really too happy with, because the rest of the model doesn't really have that shiny effect. So I think there's some stuff you can put on to kind of make it more of a matte. So if you know, let me know in the comments. But here's the final model compared with my very first model I painted. So you can see the difference between the edge highlighting and the non-edge highlighting of my original model, the difference in the base, as well as the transfers that I've just applied. So if you've liked what you've seen, or you want to continue watching me learn in my journey, please hit the subscribe button, leave a like or a comment below. It's really much appreciated. Yeah, thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you next time.